For the archetype of the high priestess to engage, especially her root chakra and her solar plexus. In the previous video that I spoke about the high priestess, I spoke about how she relates to her cosmic sexual energy, her creative energy. It is in a very high vibrational way, and sometimes it is not grounded in her physical body, right? So, now in today's video, I want to speak about how, just for herself and in her own manifestation, what happens when she engages those lower chakras. How does it affect her physicality? Maybe it may be how it affects her relationships. How does it affect her abundance, and how she goes about manifesting things in the physical, right? Now, so do check out that video if you haven't checked it out. So the high priestess is an energy that is always in the higher cosmic realms, right? So she is always engaging in her creative energy, but not always in the most physical form. It is in a way where she is probably healing, channeling, even doing creative projects. It's always in a sense where there's always like maybe divine messages, which is why she always has to keep her energy clean. This is the type of the archetype that will most probably do a lot of cleansing, a lot of eating healthy, just constantly detoxing. She is in a state where she's constantly required to detox her energy, which is why she may always, for long periods of time, she may be isolated because she is not supposed to be around too much energy, because it may quickly it may just, I want to say, it may just get in the way, on top of the fact that she's always channeling. So she does a lot of spiritual practices to just keep all of that out and be very connected to the divine. This high priestess is also the archetype, one of the archetypes that's known to always sort of be alone. A lot of high priestesses don't really, in themselves, don't really feel the need to engage in romantic relationships. It's something that's a bit like awkward for them. Not awkward, but it's something that's a bit, they can find it draining, or they can find that they feel like they don't really feel the need to do so. This is different from the archetype. This archetype is different from the archetype of the empress, right? The empress, her power comes from the fact that she is connected to so many people, and there's always that exchange, and she has to, how can I say, she has a whole kingdom to take care of it, so she will usually have kids and all of that. With the high priestess, most of the time she is alone, and it's her and spirit, right? So being in this very cosmic egg, I like to call it the cosmic egg, when she is in this cosmic egg energy, and like the darkness, the dark, how can I, not the dark as in like evil, but the dark energy of creation. When she is in that energy, when she is in that realm, a lot of downloads come to her. She sees a lot of possible realities. She receives a lot of visions, and I spoke about in the previous video how she can even see like years ahead, right? So when you are in a very, when you are in a very highly divine energy, unfortunately, when you are in this archetype, you are, I feel like, most likely, if you do not ground yourself, you most likely will, you could fall into some kind of psychosis, not knowing which is which, like what's really happening, what's the past, what's the beginning, and all of that. And if you don't ground yourself, you can sort of not really bring that knowledge down here, right? So your job is to sort of ground that knowledge and bring it here into the physical for your own tribe and whoever is assigned to you, so you will be able to help them in any way that you can. So you're not too effective at times when that root energy is not grounded, and you will have an energy of being homesick because you have a very vivid awareness of you coming from maybe very high star systems, or every now and then when you are asleep you see yourself go to certain places. So when you're not rooted, you don't feel safe in your physical body, you don't feel safe in maybe the relationships that you have with people, you just don't feel you don't have a understanding and an appreciation at times of the physical realm. The high priestess is also an energy that really doesn't understand materialism that well. It's a weird concept to her because she vibrates so highly. Most times they don't feel like they need a lot of materialistic things, but this can be very healing for her when she grounds her root chakra, because then things will start to come together. She'll start feeling that, okay, my body and my spirit are one. My spirit is not constantly out of my body where I feel like I'm not living here, like I'm here but I'm not really here. So when she grounds her root, it will help her not only be able to survive in the world, but to be able to feel that she is at home in the world, and be able to bring her out of the need to always be in the higher realms. She will be able to understand that interacting with life, its physicalities, and it's yes, she may live, have different rules for herself, but interacting with physicality, and there is a knowledge that the physical that the body has that is also very beneficial. There's a knowledge to survival. There's a knowledge to even the basic things of like food and all of that stuff. The physical, there is a knowledge there, and there is a way in which you're supposed to balance out this high vibrational nature whilst still honoring your physical body. So it's very important for her, so she can feel like she can ground all these ideas, because they can stay up in there. And if you notice, these archetypes can also have a very dreamy I can say very dreamy, distant type of nature. So when she engages in her roots, she's able to take that nature, that high channeling nature, and be effective in teaching those that come to her. Because if she constantly is up there and not down here, there is an energy of not really feeling even comfortable sharing the knowledge that she has, especially when it is her time to be seen. When it is a time to share the knowledge and be seen, if she's not grounded, she will not feel comfortable enough to share. So when she grounds herself, there is a sense of embodying the knowledge and it really being acclimated into her body, and also activating the light codes that are already within her body. So the truth that already lives within a body. It's all about harmony. When it's too out of balance, the numbness is what starts. The not feeling. How can I say it? The numbness of physical experience, and feeling very disconnected to it, and feeling like it's meaningless, because what's the point of physicality when you know you have all these higher realms? But remembering that you are here as a physical being to experience the higher nature, but when it is contained within physical reality. So her then going through life and understanding that life within itself can teach you, because then again, this archetype, she doesn't even really, not say she doesn't read books, but she can channel a whole lot of knowledge. This is the type of archetype that um, when she's in a state of channeling, most times if she channels, um, she'll realize that what she has said maybe might have been in a book that has been written, but she's never read that book. You know what I'm saying? So it is important for a high priestess type of archetype. If you feel like you resonate with the high priestess archetype, with the video that I made before, your root is very important. It will help you then, first of all, have a good relationship with obviously your body. It will help you also have a good relationship with how you choose to go about the knowledge that you have. This archetype woman can really at times struggle, depending on how mature her energy is, struggle with taking what she knows and practically using, or yeah, and practically using it because it's just so much all the time. Now, when the grounding happens and she feels like she's finally here, she'll see that she has more energy. This archetype, when out of balance, can be very tired. The physical body can suffer from a lot of back pain, lower back pain, shoulder pain, even at times stomach pains. Just the avoidance of the physical and the avoidance of, they can be also very avoidant of physical reality. So when they ground, they have that energy of interacting with a vitality in a way that is energizing. The root will help you feel energized in order um, to take the steps that you need to. And once, on top of that, on top of your root, once the solar plexus is activated, then you have the ability to then have the willpower that it takes to then further the plans that you have. Maybe, for instance, it's, you know, you're supposed to start your own practice in your dreams. You can see that there are people coming, even people will just come to you. Honestly, with this archetype, people will just come to you, and you can see that, oh, I'm helping people. But you may, if you just do it in a way where it's like there is no structure to it, because I feel like this archetype also struggles with structure. You don't always see a way forward because you're just interacting with it. You're just interacting with it. And at times, yes, your guides are there. They're leading you. The guides are changed. Every now and then the guides are interchanged. You will notice that this guide works like this, and maybe this guide is more masculine and they work with this element. But if, when you're not grounded, even handling the guides that come in can be very brutal on your body. So when you activate your root, even when your guides are changed and maybe different energies are switched, because there's always like a reshuffling and a switching that's going on depending on where you are in your journey. That their dietary needs, because you will feel when a certain element is with you. Maybe it's in a spirit of the air element, your diet will change. Maybe it's a spirit of the earth element, your diet will change. Those transitions won't be as heavy if your root is if your root is grounded. Okay, because these, I know with this archetype, your feet can get very sore when you're switching, guys. Your lower back can get very sore. So really those lower chakras are very important because your body needs to be strong enough to be able, first of all, to take in all these different energies. When your root is faulty, you get tired a lot. When your root is faulty, you're not even able to adjust to the dietary needs of whoever is, whatever spirit you're working with, and whatever they need. When the root is strong, first of all, yes, you will crave the foods, but the in betweens of you switching isn't as brutal. It becomes brutal when your root is weak. Once your root is strong, you can better handle that very high vibrational energy of whatever spirit is around you. So your root helps you with a lot, and it also helps you tap into, ancestral beauty, ancestral ways of survival and forward, moving forward in the real world. So, yes, I wanted to talk about that today. And I don't really have much to say, but really do consider, especially if you are neurodivergent, really, you really need to work on your root. Those three chakras, those lower chakras, are very important. I've said it before. We are usually people that, neurodivergent people, are very activated, and not just these high chakras, even our higher high chakras are very activated, and it can be very dangerous if you do not take care of that lower chakra, because you are more easily close to psychosis than you think. So ground that root, you will see that it's easier for you to feel like um, there's a sense of also feeling your emotions, but there's a sense of connecting with the earth in just such a intimate way where you feel at home and you can feel that the earth provides you with the food and everything that you need to be here. And remember that you came here to, yes, you're a spirit, but you're in a physical body. So that has to be honored on your journey, and that has to be a point of balance. And don't be afraid of materialism. I think it can be very healing for a high priestess archetype to feel like, okay, there's nothing wrong. We're here, okay? We're here. It's physical. Materialism is not an evil thing, but obviously being gluttonous in certain areas, it's not good, but it's not an evil thing. Remember that we are here to experience physicality, and I feel like when you make peace with the physicality around you, when you make peace um, with materialism, you will notice that even in your own spiritual practice, you will be able to attract more luxurious spiritual tools because you're not going to be opposed to it. You're going to open yourself to the earth and all the beautiful tools that it provides for your spiritual practice, all the beautiful stones, the beautiful resins that are there available for you. And that really also comes when you start to appreciate and working with earth spirits to help navigate and maybe help really expand your practice and maybe even expand your own self-love rituals. But it comes also with that appreciation of having rare materials, that it's material is material at the end of the day, whether you want to feel like it's holy or not. It is what it is, right? So when you have that understanding of the beauty that is the earth, the beauty that is your body, you're able to then put your practice of it being very high vibrational and align it with the physicality and really have a harmonious experience and a harmonious spiritual journey here in the physical. And it's not always going to look like your sense of abundance and your sense of feeling like you're successful. It's not going to look like everyone else's, right? But at least you're not constantly feeling like you dread being here, because that is a thing with very high vibing people, is that they dread being here, and that was not the point of you incarnating. If you I wouldn't say that's not the point, but it's not a good way to spend your time with your gift. It's better for you to actually feel that you can have and live out your God-given gifts here and serve your tribe. So it really also helps you serve your tribe, because we know channeling can take a lot of energy, and you get tired quicker when your root is not stable. You get very tired. You get tired quicker with spiritual practices when your root is not stable. And another thing that I found really interesting, who was I having a conversation with? I think when I go live, I have a lot of conversations with you beautiful souls, and I remember it just reminded me. I was doing a reading, and someone had spoken about how when she doesn't do her ancestral rituals, she gets tired really quickly. And I feel like maybe, I don't know, I think I can throw that in here. The reason, and it was in the beginning of her journey, which happens a lot to with anyone most people or most women that start off on their journey. They'll notice that when they're not giving attention to their ancestors, they get tired, they get the headaches. That that is something that happens in the beginning. Your root is still very fragile. Okay, your root is still very fragile, and you need that energy. You need that strength. You need that strength. Some people, it's maybe there's too much fire in their root. Some people, it's there's too much water in their root. So there's this alchemical process that's going on. But you give it a year, 2 or 3, you will realize that your root gets strong, and you don't always have to consistently do rituals. Maybe, well, for you'll realize that when you do the rituals, yes, it makes you at peace, but it's not really heavily affecting. It will take longer for it to affect your body versus in the beginning, where a week goes by and you feel like, oh my god, like I feel tired, I have a headache, I have this, I have that. In the beginning, that you are like a little baby to them spiritually, okay? So you are more watched and more like, how can I put it, there's like a micromanaging that goes on in the beginning, making sure that you get the energies that you need. You are very sensitive. Your root is very sensitive. It is not yet stable, but as you do your spiritual practice, you will feel in your body, you will feel stronger, and you will realize that, a week can go by, maybe 2 months or 3 months, and you don't want to go months without talking to your ancestors, but it's not so, it won't be as codependent as it feels. So it does, these are things that as you do this work, you will realize these shifts. So it's not always the same, and sometimes the offerings change and the frequency of how you need to do change. But in the beginning, the more often you do these things, the better. It really helps with the root. It really helps solidify, and it really helps secure your root, because the root has to be secure and it has to be anchored. It has to be anchored. Okay, trust me. If you are a person that's always in the ethers, anchor that root. Make sure, and also with an anchored root, spirits are not easily able to just go in and out as they please. Okay, there is integrity in your practice. There is integrity in your energy field. In energy field, you lose a lot of integrity with a unstable root when you're doing spiritual practices. And one of the ways people are really attacked is in their root. Spiritual practices, you can easily be attacked in your root. That is where a lot of terrible, a lot of dark and not so good, dark and not in like a creative way, but dark in a chaotic way. That's where you can be attacked first, in your root, in your sense of stability. That's where you start becoming anxious. Anxiousness is also an energy where I see a lot of women with prophetic gifts, and that deal with this archetype of that resonate with the archetype of the high priestess. They can be very anxious. Your root, okay, it's not your mind, that it's your root. Fix the root. I honestly, to be honest with you, one of the and I'm not a healthcare professional, whatever, but I realized, one, when I was healing my root and healing my relationship with my body, I realized one thing. I was able to know what kinds of foods my body works with, right? And I had actually spoke to my ancestors, because the diet was changing all the time, and I was like, guys, I am gaining. I can tell that there is a new member on the team, and they seem to be, craving certain things. So please help me out here, okay? I need something that is not gonna make me keep expanding and be big physically. And I had attracted a way of eating that was good, that was good for me. But then what I also noticed was that my anxiety levels and all those quick thoughts at the same time, in that same period, I had also been taking ashwagandha. I don't know what it is about ashwagandha, guys. Listen, I'm not saying take it. I'm not saying take ashwagandha, but I noticed that when I had done that, I was more grounded. There's something very, very grounding about ashwagandha or ginseng. It's just, there's this grounding property that it has. It really grounds you. It really grounds you, and you will, for the first time, feel what it feels to not have so many thoughts in your head. And I think for some, when in that year when I had been working on my root and simultaneously taking ashwagandha for some reason since then. And I think it's really the root work, the root chakra work. My mind hasn't been as busy as it used to be. It's like the effects were very lasting. The effects lasted a really long time. I didn't feel as out of control as I used to be. I didn't feel as flighty as I used to be because my root was just, I was just so rooted. And when you are that rooted, I feel like you don't even have any idea until you're out of it how crazy your mind and how the channeling is just so insane. Once you do root, you can, there's this ability to focus on one thing at a time. Because I know with people that vibrate very highly, that are on the spectrum and are neurodivergent, it's really hard to focus on one thing at a time. But you experience this when when you are rooted and you work on your root chakra. There are certain things during the day you don't feel like doing anymore. Like even like doom scrolling, you don't feel very, you don't feel like you don't feel the need to because you're not operating from anxiousness. Anything that usually makes you anxious, and anxious eating, if you're an anxious eater, I feel like the root is definitely something that you need to do. You just won't be attracted to I was very shocked. Like I used to eat chocolate and be quite into that, and when I was fixing my root, there's just a lot of things that I just stopped doing. So if you, what I like about the energy systems is, but especially the root, is if you're really trying to change maybe your physicality, maybe it is gaining or losing weight, and you're a highly spiritual person, and you know that the guys they come in and they do this and once you fix that root, those changes become easier. It's not you forcing yourself, but it's more so what it is that you're desiring at the time, and that's what happens. That's why we have an energy system. You don't have to force yourself to do things. Yes, you can. Obviously, every now and then we don't always want to do the right thing, but when you work with your centers, it becomes an embodiment. It becomes like, oh, I am craving these foods, and that food will happen to be actually good for your body. So that's another thing. That's another thing. And I think I'm going to leave it there for today, my beautiful souls. That was quite the rant, but I hope you all enjoy it. Yes, feel free to like, share, subscribe to my newsletter, and